Morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started on the graduation reporting webinar. My name is Drew Mitchell. I'll be presenting. With me is Michael McCritt, Alex Newman, and Alexander Cookson. Allie is new with us. She is our data quality trainer. You'll be seeing and hearing a lot of her over the next year as she interacts with the districts directly. We're going to go ahead and dig into this. It's not going to take very long. Graduation, there's not a lot to it anymore. It's fairly straightforward. So we're going to start with some simple stuff first. During the webinar, if you need to ask any questions, there is a icon in the upper right corner, a chat bubble with a question mark in it. It has a Q&A underneath it. If you click on that, you can ask questions. We'll be stopping periodically to answer those as we go along. So the graduation reporting instructions are available on the Helpdesk webpage underneath data reporting instructions. And then graduation certification instructions are labeled here. We won't be going into the report live. We have no stage data at this time due to a test site wipe that we underwent yesterday. So we'll just be going over the reporting instructions. Like I said, it is fairly straightforward. This is just to validate your graduation counts. These are adjusted cohort rates. You have the completers report, the 4th year, 5th year, and 6th year reports. You do need to have NEO access to view the report. The report is now underneath student data. There is nothing in the graduation module anymore at this point. So if you do not have access to NEO, you can submit this NEO access request form to the superintendent's office and have them fill that out for you. You do need to be in your district's NEO staff before we will grant that access. So here's the top of the report. This did open July 1st. It is due 8:30. You have access to edit your exits for graduation until 8:15 at midnight. And then from 8:16 to 9:15, when we finish doing our data validation, if you need anything done through that time frame or we need you to do something, we will be doing it ourselves. So from 8:16 to 8:30, if you need to update any exits for your graduation data, just email or call the help desk and we'll help you out. But from today until 8:15 at midnight, you have the ability to edit those exits yourself in Synergy because we are still in the 21-22 school year. Again, like I said, the access request form is here. If you need access, submit that to your superintendent's office. Once you're logged into NEO, you're going to go to student data and then student reports. You can filter on enrollments, which is what the graduation report is under, or you can go through the student data reports. It's all alphabetical. So here you go to graduation certification. We do have the details as well, but you can get to the details via the certification. So this is a list of the details as it would look in a completer's report, and then below it is the certification report. Again, like I said, you can access the details through the navigation links. So the details right here, this is looking at the completers. The details will show you all of your graduated students for this year, as well as any of their pertinent details that are listed here. What these sections mean is that any point during their cohort, they were one of these. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they are currently. For example, if a student was special education at some point during their cohort, they will be listed as a yes here. So if you see that they're listed as a yes for any of these, but they aren't currently listed as that way in Synergy, that is why. It's just showing you throughout their cohort, they were at some point one of these things. If they've graduated, this is the completers report, so everybody will have a graduated date. But if you're looking at your 4, 5, or 6 reports, if there's no graduation date, then that means that they have not graduated. If they were supposed to, for example, they needed to complete some credits over the summer to be an on-time graduate, and they're not showing a graduation date, you simply have to go into Synergy and update their exit as a graduate. Again, if you're going to do that, you're going to be doing it in the 21-22 school year. Once we roll the calendar, if you put in an enrollment as a graduate in the 22-23 school year, it's going to mess up their cohort. So if they're supposed to be an on-time graduate, they will then be bumped to the 5th year and so on. So you want to make sure you're doing that in the correct year. And you have until 8:15 at midnight to do that.
Right. So yeah, just to reiterate that point, because it's kind of a key one. So do not do any one-day enrollments for if you're trying to affect your 2022 class of 22 grads. You do not want to put in a one-day enrollment in the 22-23 school year, because that's going to be moving them ahead of cohort. Well, not moving them ahead of cohort, but moving them ahead a year. So yeah, make sure if you're trying to make them a class of 22 graduate that you're editing their last enrollment that they had in June with you guys, and not adding that one day. The only time that you guys will actually need to put in a one-day enrollment would be for students that were marked incorrect in prior years. So let's say in like 18-19 or 2021 or something, you guys put them with a transferred to another public school, but it should have been out of state. That's when you would want to go in and put in a one-day enrollment just to update that last exit to remove them from your report if you need to.
Excellent. So again, as I said, this is the certification report screen. This is what you're going to see when you go in there. You have access to your completers in your 4 through 6. Once you've verified that everything's accurate in Synergy and in the reports, you can have the superintendent certify and submit it. There is no approval process as it was in the previous years. So you're not submitting it, we're not reviewing it, and then kicking it back if something's wrong. This is just like all the other reports now where it's reviewed and then certified and submitted. We do some data validation on it after it's closed for the districts. So there may be a chance we reach out to you and let you know that we removed your certification for some reason. If that happens, we will give you more details when we do that. And then it'll just require it to be recertified, but that's probably very unlikely with the graduation report, because again, it is a very straightforward report. This just goes over basically what I've already said. Do not make enrollments in the next year to graduate students who should have graduated in the previous year, as Mike said. You have until 8:15 to do any live updates yourself. From 8:16 to 8:30, you need to reach out to us to do those updates. That's it. That's graduation. Said it's a lot easier than it used to be. There's not much to it at this point, and with us allowing the exits to be updated live, the report will update itself. So if you make a change in Synergy, that hour to an hour and a half later, it will update in the report as long as your report has not been certified. So if you're making changes and you're not seeing them update in the details, it's likely that that report has been certified. And I believe, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, this is one of the ones that anyone who has access to this report will be able to see that it was certified by the superintendent.
Right. Yep.
So we're slowly making all our reports so that anyone who has access to the report to check the data can see if it's been certified or reviewed. This is one of the ones that has that functionality built into it as of right now. So if you need the certification removed, you can either ask your superintendent or email or call the help desk and we can remove it for you.
Yep. And one note on the refresh schedule as well. So the hourly refreshing, that'll be happening right up through August 15th. However, after that, once you're contacting the help desk for any changes, that's just going to be moving to a twice a day refresh schedule, one at noon and the other one after 5 p.m. So just be aware of that, especially as we get towards the the deadline of 9:15. And if you want your superintendent to certify before they go home for the day, you want to make sure that you get with us and we get all your changes done before noontime. Otherwise, they're going to be certifying it after 5 p.m. But that's once again only after the 15th.
Okay, here we go. We'll hang out for a few minutes. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them now. We did just have one come in. Do we need to do anything special for special ed students that will be enrolled until they age out? Nope, you just continue to exit them as the not enrolled eligible to return and then re-enrolling them the following year. And they will continue to move through the cohorts in the report until they age out.
Yep. We will have a hard stop for 9/15 as well. So we've got the due date of August 30th, and then that leaves us our 2 weeks to kind of run through the data ourselves and do our checks and whatnot before we lock it in. But yeah, as of September 15th, we are closing this report, and anybody, if you have any changes if you're contacting us after 9/15, we are not going to be making those changes.